Here is something the majority of men never fully understand about women until the moment has already passed them by. Women do not form deep emotional bonds with you during a flawlessly executed date. They do not bond because you were a gentleman, because you covered the bill, or because you made all the right moves. They do not even bond the way most men assume they do during physical intimacy, and they absolutely do not bond because you sent a string of anxious check-in messages after she got home. That kind of behavior is not genuine connection. It is worry wearing the costume of care. The real bonding, the kind that actually sticks, happens during one very specific, quiet, almost invisible emotional moment. And here is what blindsides every man who has never been told this. She never plans it. It arrives without a soundtrack. There is no dramatic buildup, no cinematic rain, no slow-motion pause. It is understated, barely noticeable, and completely easy to overlook. If you are not paying the right kind of attention, you will miss it entirely. And once it passes without being met correctly, she may never let her guard down with you again. The first thing that needs to be cleared up is the difference between attraction and bonding, because most men treat them as the same thing, and that is a costly error. When she laughs at what you say, that is attraction. When she becomes physically intimate with you, that is still attraction. When she reaches out first, it could go either way. But bonding is an entirely different mechanism. Attraction is powered by dopamine, by the thrill of novelty, by excitement and pursuit. Bonding is powered by oxytocin, by a felt sense of trust, emotional safety, and deep psychological imprinting. A man can be enormously attractive to a woman and still be completely disposable to her on an emotional level. Sit with that for a moment. Here is the psychological reality operating beneath the surface. From the very first interaction, she is quietly running an internal assessment. Is this person emotionally safe? Will he react poorly if he sees the real me? Can he hold space for who I actually am? Women do not lower their guard in one sweeping motion. They reveal themselves in gradual layers. The first layer is her personality, the fun and light version she shows everyone. The second layer is her stories. The third is her genuine opinions. The fourth layer is where everything shifts. That fourth layer is vulnerability. And it almost never surfaces intentionally. It escapes. You have likely witnessed this without realizing what it was. The conversation is flowing well. She is animated, confident, engaged. Then something shifts almost imperceptibly. Her voice drops slightly. She says something unguarded, something she probably did not consciously decide to share. Something like, "I have a habit of overthinking things," or "trusting people does not come naturally to me." Or even, "I know I can be a lot sometimes." That was not a prepared statement. It slipped out. And the instant it did, she felt a flicker of exposure. Not panic, just the quiet sensation of being seen in an unintended way. And from that moment forward, she is watching your reaction with everything she has. What happens next determines everything. Vulnerability without a safe landing creates anxiety. Vulnerability that meets with steadiness creates bonding. When a woman lets something unguarded fall out of her mouth and you respond without judgment, without immediately trying to fix it, without dissecting it or deflecting with humor, something measurable happens inside her. You remain calm. You stay present. You look at her the same way you did before she said it, as though nothing fragile was just placed in front of you, as though she is still every bit as composed and worthy of respect as she was a moment ago. That response triggers oxytocin. Her nervous system begins to register you as emotionally safe. To understand why, consider what happens in the brain when someone reveals vulnerability. It activates a mild stress response. The heart rate climbs slightly. Social risk registers. Attention narrows. If your reaction introduces more instability, if you panic or smother her with reassurance or immediately shift into problem-solving mode, her stress climbs higher. But if your reaction is grounded and unshaken, her stress dissolves. And when stress releases immediately following emotional exposure, oxytocin floods in. That is the chemistry of bonding. She will not be consciously aware it happened. She will simply notice that she feels at ease around you in a way she cannot quite explain. This is also precisely where most men undo everything without knowing it. The first way they destroy the moment is by trying to fix what she shared. She mentions having been hurt in the past, and he immediately launches into a promise campaign. He tells her he would never do that she can trust him, that everything will be different now. But she was not asking to be repaired. When a man rushes to patch someone's emotional wound, the unspoken message is that something is wrong with her. That shuts bonding down entirely. The second way men ruin it is through excessive validation. She admits she sometimes feels like too much, and he floods her with compliments, telling her she is perfect and amazing. That response does not feel strong. It feels desperate, like he is performing for her approval. The grounded response is brief and unbothered. Something like, "Everyone has layers. That is just how people are." Calm, direct, unaffected. The third way men blow it is by becoming an emotional investigator. She shares something personal, and he leans in with a barrage of questions, asking how it made her feel, when it started, what she thinks it means. That is not connection. That is pressure, and pressure makes people retreat. So what actually works? When she reveals something vulnerable, the move is to stay emotionally steady. Not cold, not detached, just grounded. You listen. You give her relaxed eye contact. Your whole presence communicates that you can handle what she just said. You do not escalate the energy of the moment. You do not shift your tone into something heavy. You treat what she shared as though it is completely normal. Because to a man who is genuinely secure within himself, it is. Here is a concrete example. You are on a date. Things are going well. She is laughing. Then she says quietly, "I sometimes think I am hard to be around." That sentence is not random. It is a soft test, whether she realizes it or not. If you respond by telling her that is not true, that she is incredible, you come across as eager and insecure. If you respond by asking why she would say something like that, she now feels put on the spot. But if you respond with a relaxed smile and a calm voice, something like, "Everyone is a little complicated. That is part of what makes people worth knowing," and then let the conversation breathe and continue naturally, something significant just happened. She feels accepted without being analyzed. She feels seen without being pitied. That relief, the specific relief of revealing something tender and having it met with ease, is extraordinarily powerful. It creates emotional imprinting. She will leave that interaction thinking she feels different around you, and she will not be entirely sure why. The deeper truth underneath all of this is that women do not bond most intensely during moments of pleasure or excitement. They bond most deeply after moments of exposure. When she lets something unguarded slip out and you do not collapse, do not chase, do not fix, and do not flinch, you have passed a test she was running at a level below conscious thought. What she was really asking was whether you can hold emotional depth without being overwhelmed by it. If you cannot handle a small, accidental vulnerability without becoming unstable, she has every reason to wonder how you would handle real pressure inside a relationship. Women form the deepest bonds with men who offer emotional steadiness. Not dominance, not aggression, steadiness. That is the gravitational pull that draws a woman in and keeps her there. When her vulnerability meets your stability, an anchor forms in her nervous system. She begins to associate you with safety. Safety opens the door to comfort. Comfort opens the door to honesty. Honesty opens the door to real emotional investment. And that investment compounds over time, but only when you stay consistent. One day of steadiness followed by a day of neediness weakens everything that was built. It is consistency over time that transforms individual moments into lasting connection. Here is the part that is hardest to hear. None of this can be faked. There are no lines to memorize, no script to run. If you are internally unsteady, she will feel it. If you are operating from a need for her approval, she will sense it in the energy you carry. If your fear of losing her is shaping how you behave, that fear will leak through everything you do. Bonding does not come from effort or strategy, it comes from genuine presence. The man who creates real, lasting emotional connection is not working to impress her or rescue her or convince her of anything. He is simply rooted in himself. When she opens up, he does not see a problem to solve. He sees a human being being human, and he does not flinch. Women do not bond most strongly during the highlight reel of a relationship. They bond in the quiet, unscripted moments, after the sentence she did not mean to say out loud, after the insecurity that surfaced before she could catch it, after the truth that escaped before she could think better of it. If you meet those moments with steadiness, she will not simply be drawn to you. She will feel genuinely connected to you, and connection is the thing that actually lasts. Work on your emotional stability, not as a tactic, but for your own growth. Because real bonding does not happen when you chase her emotions. It happens when you are strong enough to hold them. If this gave you something to think about, share it with someone who could use it.